Welcome to ProjectME, the podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, the founder of ProjectME, multi-millionaire entrepreneur, former TV newscaster, money-making expert, female empowerment speaker, and self-proclaimed office supply addict. My mission is to take the mystery out of making big money. Every week on ProjectME, the podcast, I'll share success tips, strategies, and stories from other entrepreneurs, experts, and millionaires, showing you exactly how you can achieve your most exceptional life. Now let's get to it. You are listening to ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, episode number 18, How Self-Worth and Net Worth Are Connected. I am really excited to record this episode for you guys today. It is one of the foundational principles that I teach to my ProjectME students and clients. And it is one of the, in fact, probably the biggest lesson and transformation in my life is the connection between self-worth and net worth. So self-worth, a lot of people hear that and it's like, they think of, oh, well, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me, or something like that. There's some people that roll their eyes when they hear the self-worth thing. Then there's people who'll go, oh yeah, I know I'm good. I feel good about myself. I'm a good person. I'm great. Yeah, it's a little deeper than that, okay? It's not about just looks or insecurities. Self-worth goes much, much deeper, and it can be much more subtle. And I'm going to use myself as an example so you guys can hear some of my story and see how having a low self-worth impacts your net worth. And when I say net worth, to be blunt, I'm talking about how much money you have, how much money you make, how much passive income you make, how many great money-making opportunities come to you. How do you make your money? Do you make your money and you hate what you're doing? Do you make your money and you love what you're doing? All these things are tied in here. So here's what happened with me. I was someone who definitely had a damaged self-worth from having a lot of abuse in my childhood and from being sexually assaulted at 15. So I definitely had a damaged sense of self-worth. But what happens to a lot of people, whether if they were bullied or they had an abusive household or an alcoholic parent or maybe just like a toxic marriage or relationship, most people, in fact, overcompensate. Some people go down a dark path, of addiction and other things. And then there's other people that overcompensate, right? They are usually the overachievers of the world, the workaholics of the world, the straight A student who all they do is study. And that was me. Well, I don't know about the straight A student part, but I was a good student. But I was definitely an overachiever. I didn't realize it, but I always felt I had to prove myself. Nothing was ever enough. Whether it was in my broadcasting career, it was never enough. There was always more. I never gave myself that pat on the back like, hey, that was a really good, story you did today. Or you did a really good job on the news tonight, Tiffany. Or how about patting myself on the back for even getting a TV news career at NBC and at CBS? How about that? Didn't do that either. It was still nothing was ever enough, okay? And that is for sure a sign of a damaged self-worth. There's nothing per se wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. But because of outside circumstances, our self-worth gets chipped away from people, places, and things, from toxic shit that happens. Sometimes it's from working in a shitty work environment with a very toxic, narcissistic boss that can just start, whittling that self-worth down. So I want to share with you, what happened as a result of that, and then also how I started repairing and restoring that self-worth and what that looked like in terms of how that impacted my finances. So Here's the thing. I was overcompensating, right? So I was working my ass off. And when I left my broadcasting career, which that's a whole nother episode onto why that happened. And it was me literally quitting. I didn't even give a 2-week notice. I got into the world of pharmaceutical sales and then into, the management space and climbing that corporate ladder in pharma before I started my company. Now, sales, wow, what a great field for an overachiever, of someone who never feels anything is ever enough. Wow, do corporations love people like me? And they sure as hell did. I won lots of awards. I sold millions, tens of millions of dollars worth of drugs, I guess you could say, or prescriptions. I mean, for sure, the top at every company I was at, no matter what disease state I was selling, or if I was managing a sales team, because that just worked for me, right? It was like, okay, well, I sold this much this month. I had this many prescriptions this month. Okay, well, I have to do better next month. Believe me, corporate America, especially sales-based organizations, which most of them are, love people like that, right? And it was just amazing. I mean, I even remember when I went from the bottom of the country, because they rank you, of course, in sales. And it might have even been in less than a year's time. I went from the bottom in the entire company to number one. And I remember getting the phone call with the numbers in, letting me know that. And I would say, I even remember exactly where I was standing. And I remember about giving myself about 1 minute going, "That's awesome, Tiffany. You did it. You're number one. That's pretty damn cool." And then moved on. I moved on to some other horrible thought like, well, how many times can you really be number one? Or some other thought, or that's great, but what about this, Tiff? Or did something else like that. Again, that goes back to self-worth. But what happened is, from being in that career, is it looked like I was being rewarded for this behavior. So I didn't think that I had really any issues of self-worth. I mean, I had, what a lot of people have, had different insecurities about my body, or, things I was bashful about or whatever. But I really thought I was confident and I had my shit together. And I did have my shit together and I did seem confident, but it wasn't really real. It was a fragile confidence. It didn't take much to shake me. And that's a sign you can tell that there's self-worth work that needs to be done. All it took was one client, one customer, one doctor not liking something I said or did, or kind of being mean, and I'd be in my car in tears, and it would ruin my whole day, sometimes the next day. All it took was for my boss to give me some criticism in a certain way, tears. That's not someone who's truly confident. So it was on shaky ground. So if you can relate to that, where you're easily thrown off track and it doesn't take all that much, there's an underlying self-worth damage that needs to be repaired. And so I, kept going in that career. And you'd say, well, Tiffany, you've been an entrepreneur for 10 years. You obviously had confidence. I had confidence in my business abilities, in my money-making abilities, in the topics that were my zone of genius. But confidence and self-worth are not really the same thing. Are they tied together? Yeah, there is definitely a correlation, but they're not the same. When great things happen, I got awards, I got bonus checks, or I had all these, great little wins in my business. I didn't celebrate myself. I didn't honor that. I just said, that's, okay, great. Got to keep going. That's a self-worth thing. I didn't feel worthy really of having great financial success or career success without having to pay a big price for it. Because I was raised by a female entrepreneur predominantly, by a single mom, who her line, which I'm sure she learned probably from my grandfather, who was had a roofing business. She may have learned it from him, which was, you can only be successful. You have to give an arm and a leg to be successful. And so, it couldn't be passed down from generations for all I know, but that's what she said. And I wanted to have that, my own business, and have that success like my mom, had and has. And so I watched her. I mean, this woman worked, 16 hours a day, barely slept, nonstop. So I thought, well, this must be what it takes. That's what I saw. So since that was modeled to me and also repeatedly told to me, that became a belief of mine. Therefore, that belief became my reality. So I was constantly giving an arm, giving a leg, giving a finger, giving a toe. And I thought I had to have this extreme exchange in order to get a lot of money, in order to get awards, recognition. I thought that was the exchange. Like, you have to damn near kill yourself, and then you can get all this stuff. Well, you can only keep that up for so long until your entire body crashes, which mine did. I absolutely physically couldn't sustain that intense workaholic, nonstop, not much self-care lifestyle. At some point, your body just, can't do it anymore. And I couldn't do it anymore. And as a result, I had to figure a lot of shit out. And thank God someone worked with me on these beliefs, on the beliefs I had around money and worth. And I started really researching it and exploring it more, and did a lot of work on it to see how it was tied. And I truly did not feel worthy of achieving great things, great monetary success with ease and joy. I didn't feel worthy of that. I kind of almost felt guilty about it, because then why did my mom have to work so hard for it? I really was stuck with that belief of, if you want something bad enough, you have to work damn hard for it, and I was really stuck on that. It's like I didn't want to let go of that belief at all. And it really was tied to my self-worth of feeling really worthy of having a career and doing things I love and making money, and it be fun to make money and it be fun to work. Listen, I'm being realistic. Of course, no job is fun all the time. And I've interviewed quite a few musicians and actors, and they'll tell you that. There's a lot of shitty parts of that job too. Even though they're, compensated quite well and they get to go to cool parties and have cool clothes, but there's shitty parts of every job. But for the most part, loving what you do, I didn't know that I had permission to have that. I didn't know that I could have that. I didn't really feel worthy of having it. Therefore, lots of little and big things happened throughout my career, both as an employee and an entrepreneur, that were, some were subtle, some were big. And I just kept going, why does this shit keep happening to me? And I really didn't get it. I would do things like, I knew someone for a long time and I trusted them. Therefore, they wanted to hire me for and it was a big dollar amount, like a 6-figure amount. And they didn't bring up a contract, and therefore I didn't want to bring up for them to sign a contract, because I didn't want them to think I didn't trust them, because I had already, had a very long-term relationship with them. And guess who got fucked in the end? Me. And really, I'm not excusing the behavior of the other person, But really, the onus is on me for not having it signed. So I did things like that. Like, I didn't feel worthy of standing up for myself in a very, professional way and making sure that my interest in this business engagement was protected. So there's one example. Lost a shitload of money there. I also hired financial people. Particularly, there was one who I got a referral from someone else who I greatly admired and even trusted and knew many years. But I didn't highly vet this person myself. I did a lot of blind trust. If someone highly referred someone to me who I trusted and respected, that was enough for me. That comes down to self-worth. Feeling worthy enough to make sure that I protect myself and my hard-earned money and investments, and check someone out. Just because someone didn't screw one person over, that doesn't mean something hasn't changed in their life and they end up screwing you over. You never know. Desperate people do desperate things. So I lost 3/4 of my entire net worth in 3 months, which I'll do a separate episode on, because that's an insane story with a lot of lessons. Because of not setting up protections, not speaking up, not making sure I checked in on someone once I hired them. And it all comes down to self-worth. There was a belief that I didn't deserve to earn massive amounts of money with ease. Therefore, I made it so freaking hard for myself that I was always on this hamster wheel. And from the outside, you would go, oh my God, Tiffany has her shit together. She's kicking ass. She has awards. She has a lot of money. She has a luxury condo. She has a luxury car. She's going on 5-star trips, blah, 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 blah. But I was on a hamster wheel, damn near killing myself, racking my brain, slamming my head against the wall, doing extreme over-exercising behaviors to escape the insanity of the hamster wheel that I was putting myself on unknowingly, because I was living out that belief that I had to damn near kill myself. I had to literally give body parts to be successful, and I didn't feel worthy, have permission, to be able to earn money, eat lots of money with ease and joy. Everything was the hard way. So then I lost that. So then I killed myself to replace that $750,000, by the way, that I lost in 3 months. Then I killed myself to replace that. Then I had other shit going on in my life where I had to put a lot of money into that I wasn't probably going to see back. So those are some major ways. And then there were small ways. I mean, I lent money, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this. I lent money to friends, and I'm not talking like a $5 for a Starbucks. I lent thousands of dollars to friends who, were starting a business or were really having a hard time and needed to move. And I even had them sign things, kind of like an IOU type thing, some informal thing. And I lent them all this money to never see it again. And in the tune of, if we added it all up, at least $50,000. Goes back to self-worth. Because I didn't set boundaries. I didn't take the time to really sit with myself and assess, is this something I want to do? Or to consult with, let's say, a therapist, or to consult with a business coach of mine and see if this is really a smart thing to do, or am I enabling this person? Why am I doing this? Because as we all know, don't lend someone money if you can't let go of that money forever. That's really the rule. I mean, there's a reason there's common phrases about lending people money. Now no one gets lent money, period. I mean, I'll buy you beer and I'll buy you dinner, but no one gets lent money. because we all have the power to make our own money when we need it badly enough. Anyway, I won't go too far down that path, but you want to know why I lent those people that money? It goes back to that self-worth that, again, I kind of felt guilty for having the money that I've accumulated, and I felt bad that they didn't. I didn't really feel worthy of the success that I had, even though I killed myself to get it. Therefore, I, in a form, sabotaged it and gave it away. So it's subtle. If I didn't have a business coach and a highly trained therapist helping me weed through all this, I don't feel I would have at all seen this on my own, or it would have taken even more pain and strife for me to finally see this. But I'm so grateful I did, because then I was able to start rebuilding my self-worth, working with people who specialized in that. I still attend to this day a wonderful 12-step group that is focused around rebuilding and maintaining a high sense of self-worth that teaches things, like boundaries and self-care and stuff like that, because that keeps me honest with myself and on track. So I don't slip back to that familiar old pattern that I used to be in. I use a lot of mantras. I'll post Post-it notes all over, that say I'm worthy of great money. I'm worthy of making great money with ease. And you guys will see a lot of those quotes and mantras posted on my ProjectME with Tiffany Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, because the more you see those, read those, write those, hear those start replacing those other thoughts in our subconscious. So what happened as a result of doing all this work on my self-worth is my net worth naturally, organically increased to where I'm making more money than I ever had, doing much less work and enjoying myself. Sure, there are days that I'm like, ugh, I hate doing all this admin work, or, oh my God, I'm brain dead. I don't feel like doing this. Of course. But I genuinely love what I do. In fact, here I am recording a podcast. This is my second company. ProjectME with Tiffany Carter is company number 2. It's my passion project. I would not be able to have started this company and go for my passion business, my dream business, if I didn't restore my self-worth to a very, very high state. I wouldn't have done it. There's no way. There's a reason why I had the idea for ProjectME 10 years ago, and it took me damn near 10 years to make it, bring it to fruition, bring it to life. Because I had to do that self-worth work. Otherwise, how could it have happened? I didn't feel worthy of making great money with ease and joy. Well, that's what ProjectME is all about. Making money, great money with ease and joy, and teaching others how to make money by using their passion and their skill set and monetizing the shit out of it and having a great freaking life. So all of that had to come together. So I just want to leave you with this, and for you to think when you're listening to this, whether you're commuting to work or you're cleaning or exercising or whatever, it won't always come up, right? Your limiting belief just when you ask yourself, right? I had to go to a much deeper place to get it. So I'll ask you this. What did you learn about money when you were growing up, or the key influencers in your life, whether it was a grandparent, an uncle, whatever it is? What did you learn about money? Not just from what was said to you, but from the energy in the household, or when you were out shopping, or did you guys go out to dinner? What did you learn? Some people learned it was confusing. A parent would say we don't have the money, yet they would be driving a brand new Mercedes. So some people have a lot of confusion with money. There were mixed messages. So what were yours growing up? And then ask yourself that. Write down the answer would be better. So when you get to pen and paper or note section on your phone, write that down. Then I want you to ask yourself, what is it you believe about money today? Because sometimes our beliefs do change from what we learned in childhood because we get influenced by other key people in our life. Maybe it's a spouse, a partner, a boss, whatever. Sometimes they can change for the better, for the worse, or they just reinforce the same. But what are your current beliefs? And there's nothing wrong with what you believe. And there's no weird, universal gods coming down when you write this down and it's something negative. Okay. You're not like encouraging more of that in your life. You're just starting the process to be able to see what you're dealing with, because we have to see what we're dealing with in order to work with it, right? So just like when you bring in your car, they don't usually tell you if your car needs to stay in overnight for a repair. They need to like lift up the hood and see what they're dealing with first, then they can give you an answer. So that's what we're doing here. We're lifting up the hood and seeing what work has to be done here. And if it makes you feel any better, there are people who are worth, I know someone who's worth almost $100 million who has some of these self-worth beliefs that don't serve them, that they have to constantly work on. This is why you see many superstar sports players, athletes, and you see actors that are worth tens of millions, hundreds of millions, and end up going bankrupt. And you're like, how the hell did that happen? It comes down to their self-worth and being worthy of that success and all the behaviors they make over time that end up sabotaging all of that. So we want to get you on track now so you don't keep doing those things, okay? But it's not uncommon, and you could be broke as a joke, or you could have a lot of money and this could still go on. It's all relative, okay? Any questions you have on this episode, please head over either to Facebook or Instagram, ProjectME with Tiffany, and you can direct message me if you're more comfortable, or write a question to me in comments, and I answer every single one of them. I love when you guys ask questions, especially about episodes. And so you guys know, ProjectME, the podcast, is now on Spotify. So I know a lot of you wanted that. And all you have to do is when you go to Spotify, if you don't already have a free account, sign up for a free account. In the search bar, put the show name, which is ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, and a picture of me will pop up with all the episodes. So I'm excited to be partnered with Spotify in addition to iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher as well. So thanks for listening to today's episode, and wishing you great wealth, health, and worth always. Thanks for listening, guys. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.